Welcome to another edition of Instructor 12B's From Tech to Tech Instructional Multimedia Presentations, sponsored by Total Air Supply, Manchester and Nashua, New Hampshire, suppliers of Goodman heating and air conditioning equipment in all your HVAC needs. I am your host, Technical Trainer Randall S. Ripley. Today's presentation is on the Robert Shaw Model 720-079 Universal Electronic Ignition Gas Valve. We will not discuss the actual installation of the valve, as this is not a how-to install a gas valve presentation. You should already know how to do that as a licensed New Hampshire gas fitter. This presentation is to familiarize you on the features of the universal gas valve and the use of the universal valve instead of the OEM valve that is presently in the equipment. The Robert Shaw 720-079 Universal Gas Valve is designed to work equally as well with intermittent pilot, also known as pilot reignition, direct spark ignition, and hot surface ignition. Some features include: installs easier with the manual selector switch, wiring connections and adjustments accessible on top of the valve. Has a pressure regulator preset for 3.5 inches of water column natural gas. Comes with an LP conversion kit. Provides dual automatic redundant valves and meets all codes requiring dual valve safety shutoff. Is multi-positional and can be mounted in any position except upside down. This valve cannot be used on direct spark or hot surface applications. If the original valve was a slow opening type. Also, it will not replace the Robert Shaw 7000 series or White Rogers Cycle Pilot gas valve.
There is no way that a service technician can carry in his van every gas valve he will need for those late night service calls. The small size of the Robert Shaw 720-079 Universal Electronic Gas Valve, with a swing radius of just 3 9/16 inches, lends itself to replacing many OEM and competitive valves. In fact, this valve replaces 295 part numbers, reducing truck stock and freeing up valuable space while saving money on inventory. Here we see the nameplate that's on the valve, which tells us its electrical ratings are 24 volts at 0.45 amps. Here we see the inlet side of the valve. Maximum inlet pressures of 7 inches of water column natural gas and 14 inches water column for LP gas for this valve. Here we see the flow indicator arrow on the inlet side of the valve. Now we are looking at the outlet side of the valve. In the upper left-hand corner, you see the pilot portion of the valve. This brass fitting is where you would hook your pilot tube if you have a pilot in the unit that comes. Next to that, going towards the right, is the hex head plug that you would put your manometer in to check the outlet gas pressure. Next to that is the vent. Below all this is the 3/4 inch outlet opening of this universal gas valve. Here we see a side shot view of the valve of one of the 1/2 inch openings on the outlet side of the gas valve. And this is the other side of the outlet side of the gas valve, showing another 1/2 inch outlet to the gas valve if you wanted to take and pipe the valve into the side. Here we see the selector switch of the valve, and to the right of that is the regulator section of the valve. Here is the top view, and we see an MCP. The M is the main valve connection, electrical connection. The C is the common, and the P is the pilot valve electrical connection. Underneath that, you see a pilot adjust screw, and that screw would be where you adjust your pilot flame if you in fact have a pilot on the unit that you're using this valve on. To the right of the pilot adjust screw is your pressure regulator for the main valve section of this valve. And under that again is the on-off selector switch. Here we see the complete valve kit, the LP kit, the jumper wire, the brass plug for your pilot tube, the bushing fitting for the outlet side of the valve if you indeed want to use a 1/2 inch nipple outlet, and the 2 plugs for the side exits of the valve if you don't need to pipe off the side of the valve, and the instruction. Here you just see a picture of the instruction manual. This valve comes with a very complete and very simplistic instruction manual, and I think even most green techs with a little bit of knowledge about gas will be able to read these and install and electrically connect this valve.
Okay, let's quickly go over the accessory kit. In the accessory kit, you're going to get one little brass plug. That brass plug is if there is no pilot in the system that you're using, you take this brass plug out that you would connect your pilot line with and put this solid plug in its place because we're not going to use the pilot. For the LP kit that comes with it, you're simply going to, just like any other valve, back this cap out, take your regulator screw out and your spring and replace it with the spring, the cap, and the regulator screw that comes with the LP kit. As we've discussed previously, the outlet side has 3 outlets. If you're not going to use an outlet, you'd simply plug it, just like you would the pilot tube outlet. You get 2 little plugs, these little black plugs, I should say, that you're going to use to plug it. If you wanted to use the side of the valve here to finish, you would take your bushing that you get to mate up to the 3/4 inch hole on the outlet side, and you would just simply put your plug in there, inside that, just like that, and use this side. But if you didn't want to do that, you were going to use a 1/2 inch nipple, you would simply put your 1/2 inch nipple inside this bushing, just like I have this plug. Then we would just take the plug and put it in here, and you would be using the valve straight through. The last little feature I want to talk about is that if you're not using a pilot, this valve will not work if the pilot is not energized. On any valve with a pilot valve, the pilot valve has to be energized in order for the main portion of the valve to open. We would simply take the jumper that comes in the kit and put it on there and tie it to the M or the MV that is on your gas ignition module.